Hello everyone! Today we're going to talk about lipless crankbaits and specifically two that I fish in the fall and have good luck with. Got to get this camera situated. There it is. There's the Gill TN70. I fish mine a little different than a few other people. I put a decoy egg snap on the line tie, and that's so I can easily swap between lipless. And I replaced the hooks with number 4 Mustad triple grips. You could use some other kinds of EWG style trebles, but something in that range. If you really are on big fish, you might go up to a size 2, but usually I stick around a size 4. Now the Gill TN70, it's loud. You can hear it rattling through the kayak, through the water. You can sometimes hear fish hit it, and they hit it hard, and you can hear them knock the rattles. So it's very loud, casts far, it's heavy for its size, and that means it falls fast. And the two ways that I fish it are like this, where I'm kind of burning it and then pausing it, burning it and then pausing it, and yo-yoing it. And I like this bait in the wind. Now, first of all, it casts like a dream. It's about 3/4 of an ounce on my scale. So it's heavy for its size. Sometimes you see it listed as 5/8 of an ounce. On my scale anyway, it's heavier than that. And that means it falls fast, it casts well, and the fish really like it. But the key for me is that I have some wind. Now you notice at the beginning I've got the Gill TN70 in a real natural bluegill pattern. It's all scuffed up from fish and bite marks, but that's the pattern. It's called holo bluegill. It's a little hard to find right now. You can find it online though. But something real natural, and it's a panfish pattern, a young of the year panfish pattern. This time of year, especially in natural lakes, the fish will be on young of the year panfish like bluegill, perch, crappie. And I don't think it really matters exactly what species you're trying to imitate, but something in that range that looks like a baby panfish. I've got clear water here, and I think that panfish color works better than some of the bright flashy colors. Now here's the other retrieve that I use. It's a yo-yo retrieve. I'm fishing a 610 medium heavy Zodius rod, and you just kind of follow that lipless back down as it's dropping, and it drops fast, so you can fish it efficiently and cover a lot of water. But you want to keep in contact with that bait as it's falling. You don't want to just let it free fall into the weeds. And if you hit some weeds, you want to rip it out of there. So you just want to maintain contact with the bait, and if a fish hits it on the fall, you want to be able to feel it and then hit them back. Those triple grips really hold fish well. A lipless, like other cranks, is a bait that fish tend to inhale. They don't swipe at like a topwater or a jerk bait. So I really like those triple grips. And if they inhale it, which they often do in the fall, it's a heavy bait, and it's kind of easier for the fish to throw if it had just standard round bend trebles. And so that's why I switched to the triple grips. This rod is like a medium heavy, moderate fast, I'd call it. And so it's got some give to it, but I want enough backbone to be able to rip it out of weeds. So I'm yo-yoing this bait over deep weed flats, kind of in the middle of this pond. And if I didn't have that backbone, like a standard cranking stick, it would just bow up and I wouldn't be able to rip the bait out of the weeds. And that's critical this time of year. That's a perch. Perch grabbed onto it at the end there. After the fish quit hitting the burn, pause retrieve, well, you can kind of mix it up. You can do burn, and then let it fall all the way to the bottom, and then burn again. You can vary your speed, but generally after that reel and stop retrieve stops working, then I'll go to the yo-yo retrieve. It's a little bit more work, but you can cover deeper water and you can get more fish to bite on the same bait. I'm trying to keep my hands dry. It's getting kind of chilly now, and wet, cold hands are a sure way to end a fishing trip early. So I'm trying to keep my hands dry and just unhooking these fish as quickly and easily as I can, just over the side of the boat. But for a while, it was one after another. They'll let you know if they're on this particular bait or particular retrieve pretty quickly. It's either going to work or it's not going to work at all. And when it works pretty well. This was early November when this was shot. We're into mid-November now, November 11th. So it's kind of the end of the road here for open water in New Hampshire. It's going to be ice season soon. There's another one. I'm fishing a Daiwa Tatula reel, and it just launches this bait. I'm using braid to leader. I like the braid. I'm using 30-pound braid, Berkeley X9 braid, and a 15-pound Maxima Ultra Green leader. The braid allows me to rip that bait a little bit better. It allows me to feel the bait as it's falling, because a lot of the fish hit it on the fall, and you got to be able to feel it when they do. And the mono leader just gives me a little bit of a cushion, to help keep that bait pinned in the fish's mouth, make sure they don't rip off next to the boat, that kind of stuff. Some people like straight fluoro. It's just not for me, but I could understand it, especially when the water gets really cold. Straight fluoro is probably a better way to go, because that braid will freeze up on you. There he is. Now these fish aren't especially large. These are just pond bass, but it illustrates the point. Okay, now this is the Arashi Vibe Lipless. It's the same pond, different day. Still cold. I'm all bundled up here. I got my Fingerless Fleece gloves on. And for a calm day like this, clear water, they will not hit a Jackal TN70. It's just too loud. You can hear the rattles clear across the pond underwater. And so the Arashi Vibe, it's not silent. It's got a subtle rattle and a slower fall, and the fish respond to it much, much better. Now this was, I think, my second cast, and they're right on it. So it's the same pattern. I just had to make a small adjustment to the Arashi Vibe, which is just more subtle, more quiet, and it's great for those days when the wind cuts out, or when you just don't have a lot of wind at all. Now they don't make the Arashi Vibe anymore. I don't know why. It's a great bait. They recently discontinued it. You can still find like a brown craw color online. And you can find them on auction sites, online auction sites, because they were recently discontinued. It's not like they've been out of production for 10 years, but you don't have to necessarily use the Arashi Vibe. You could use something like a blade bait, which is silent. I like the Arashi because it has a slower fall than a blade bait. And if I'm fishing over weeds like I am here, the blade will tend to get caught up in the weeds, and it just sinks too fast. The Arashi will kind of slowly fall down, and I can control it a little bit better. The blade tends to crash to bottom, unless you fish really small ones like a 1/4 ounce, and then you tend to catch more panfish than bass. Anyway, it doesn't have to be the Arashi Vibe. It could be another silent lipless, and there's a few on the market. You just have to make sure they're not floaters. Still want that sink rate. Something around a 1/2 ounce. It could be 3/8 of an ounce, but something around that 1/2 ounce range, and you'll be in business. And again, it's panfish colors for me. That was, I think they call it a green sunfish. but it's a real natural, subtle color. They had a bunch of good colors in the Arashi Vibe. I still have 4 left, I think. A couple different colors. That's a big pickerel. It's kind of a bonus catch this time of year. I'm really after the bass. It was funny on that first day. I got to be careful not to get hooked because that would be bad. He would thrash me. Get a hook in my finger and he'd still be thrashing on the other end of the hooks. Oof. That's not fun. So we'll handle him with care. Make sure I don't get hooked in the process. There he is. Nice big pickerel. He's in there eating the panfish, I'm sure. It was funny, the first day I was throwing the Jackal TN when it was windier. I didn't get a single pickerel, and the pickerel are loaded in this little pond. Throwing the Arashi Vibe, I got a couple pickerel. Don't really understand why that is. Maybe they didn't like the rattle. Maybe it was just a different day or different activity level. Maybe the bass were beating the pickerel to the bait when the wind was up. I don't really know, but that's what happened. Now with the Arashi Vibe, it doesn't sink as fast because it's lighter than the TN70. And so with this bait, to reach the fish, I'm primarily going to be doing a yo-yo retrieve. If I burn it, it's great for shallow water too, but if I burn it in this pond, I'm going to be too far above the fish. Also, I don't think it burns quite as well as the Jackal TN, but it's great yo-yoing. And you can think of it almost like a blade bait. It's quiet, and I'm going to fish it sort of like a blade bait. There's another bass. That's the target species. Now, when the water gets super cold, they're going to lay off with the lipless. And they'll probably be more onto things like blade baits out in the middle, jerk baits, deep diving jerk baits. The blade will get them even when the water's super cold. The lipless seems like it slows down when it gets super cold. You can still catch them in pretty cold water though. Or if there's like a warm-up, one of those weird winter warm-up spells where it's like 60 degrees for 3 days in a row, you can still catch them on a lipless. But the blade will catch them right up until ice. Jerk bait right up until ice. And if you don't have ice where you live, that's great. You can just keep fishing the lipless. It doesn't cast quite as well as the Jackal TN. It's just not as heavy. I feel like the rattles in the Jackal TN, they move around during the cast, and so it's almost like a weight transfer system. And that thing really launches. You know, I can get down to my backing with the Jackal TN70. With the Arashi Vibe, I'm not casting as far, but I don't really need to cast my whole spool off. But it does help with covering water if you can make a decent cast. Following that vibe back down. Alright, that's kind of my two-pronged approach for fishing lipless crankbaits in the fall. Thank you all for watching. I really appreciate it. Just like all my other videos, I'll list all the gear in the video description. I'll try to find a link for the Arashi Vibes, and if not, maybe I could suggest some alternative silent cranks, silent lipless cranks. I'll catch you on the next one. See ya!